I'm glad you could join me today for Faith Talks. This has been on my heart for several months now. In fact, my dad passed away April 15th, so as far as this recording here, that's 7 months ago. And I've been wanting to do this for a while, so I don't have notes. I'm just going to kind of share from my heart. But about, I would say, 2 weeks, 3 weeks before my dad passed away, him and Mom had come over and they were sitting on my couch. And I had seen on Facebook a thing that was talking about getting your affairs in order. And it was just this list of all these things that should be done in the event if something was to happen. And I know we don't like talking about death. We don't like talking about in the event that a loved one passes away. You don't want to think about that. But I was thinking, Dad, have you done some of these things? I had asked him to make me, especially after going what I've gone through with my grandmother, I had asked Daddy to make me medical power of attorney over him and Mom because I would be the caretaker. And so he did that. He got that done before he passed. And then I'd given him this list. And I saw this on his desk when he passed away and I was going through the things on his desk. I did see this list there. So it was just a few weeks before he passed that I gave him this. One of the things that he didn't do, and I saw it in his things to do folder. He had a things to do journal that he wrote down and he put a little check mark by when he got it done. And this one here says, see if Jerry can do some TV programs the week of March 15th or 11th through 14th. And he put a little check mark. He had called me and asked me. It says, do 2 more Back to Basics programs next week. And he'd put a little check mark. Well, this was his little things to do journal. Here it says, call Jerry and Terry about speaking at President's Cabinet meeting. So this was, he would write down every day. In fact, the day he passed away, it makes me cry, but I'm not going to share what he wrote because it was financial money he was giving to people. But if you can see up there, the date, he actually wrote April 15th, and he passed away just a few minutes later after writing this. But I did find in here, and it's here, it was information about a burial plot. And when his mother passed away in 2011, we were there with Daddy when he was getting all the arrangements in order, and we had talked about him getting plots for him and Mom, and it was just never done. But he had this right here. And why I share this notebook is that in one of these, it says go to Laurel Land where he's buried and talk about getting plots. And he didn't have a check by it. So Terry and I had to do that. Mom was there, but Terry and I did all the arranging and talking, and then at that time Terry and I bought Mom a burial plot. And it's not something you want to think about while she's sitting right there, but it was just a very, it's a very stressful time. It's your emotions are all over the place, and you shouldn't have to be like thinking of plots, and then we're having to drive out and find a place, and that should be taken care of beforehand, so you don't even have to think about that. So this list, Dad did do some of them. Here is one, power of attorney for your health care. He did. He went and got that done. Make sure your last will and testament is done. A living will. Transfer on death deed. Make sure all your bank accounts have direct beneficiaries. Most of his bank accounts did have my mom as the beneficiary, but there were some that didn't. So we had to wait to go into the probate and all that so that Mom could access that. So these are just things I just want you to to make sure, you don't like to talk about it with loved ones. When I've brought things up to my children or my husband, it's like, oh, I don't want to think about that. I don't want to talk about that. But after going through this with my dad, it's like you and your spouse should have a list, the bank account information in there, titles, everything that's important should be in one place. Because my mom didn't pay bills like ever. My dad did everything, and that was one of the things. He just never wanted her to be concerned with any of that. But there should have been a place where we knew where to go. I had to do all the digging and finding of his insurance policies and find all that, because there was not one place where everything was. So this is just a Faith Talks reminder of doing these things, getting your affairs in order. And it's not a lack of faith. We're not talking, like doom and gloom but we have to be use wisdom. Use wisdom, also about your health. Use wisdom about your health. Daddy had a blocked artery, and we knew he did. And I did talk to him several times about going to the doctor and making sure that he got that, taken care of. And it was the same as the other blocked artery that he had, and he got that taken care of. But he didn't do this one. He didn't have any symptoms except fatigue, but we thought it was just his schedule. His strenuous schedule. I mean, the way that man worked, 20-year-olds couldn't keep up with him. And so we thought, well, he's 77 years old, and the way he's traveling and going and working, it's just he's tired because of that. But this blocked artery, it eventually, and I read up on it just the other day. I was reading up on it again, and it said if it's not taken care of, you could just drop dead. And that's what happened. And Daddy was given warnings. He was given warnings to take care of it. And I saw on his desk a new doctor he was wanting to go to, an appointment for that. So it was there. He just didn't do it in time. And I just want to encourage you to not put things off. Don't procrastinate. If there's something in your body that you're just tolerating and it doesn't feel right, it doesn't seem right, don't procrastinate. Because I tell you, my dad, he wouldn't want to leave us. He was preparing to come home, and on his desk were things he was doing when he got home. And he had trips planned, and his bag was already packed in his bedroom for the next trip he was going on. So I've seen, some people say, oh, watching his last video, I think he might have known he was going, because he said, if I die tonight, I can say that Jerriann Savelle, or God has been good to Jerriann Savelle. No, my dad was not planning to go to heaven. So I don't want anyone going through what we've been through. And it was like starting from scratch. We had to find everything. Daddy didn't keep any, he didn't have anything written down. I had to find it all. I had to dig through all his stuff. It's so, I don't know, going through his personal things, just it's his bank accounts and just everything. But if you have everything in one place, and a family member, when and if they have to do that, then there's a checklist of, okay, here's my bank accounts, here's this insurance policies, here's the titles, every single thing that you would need. And buy a burial plot. Have that taken care of so that your family doesn't have to do that. And also be thinking, if you own a business or a ministry, what would you want done with that? In the event of your death, what would you want? Who would you want taking that over? What would be your wishes? If that's not written down, then people just have to figure it out. So again, these are just reminders to not just think, oh, I thought my dad was going to go in the rapture, or I thought my dad was going to be in his late 80s. That's kind of what I thought. I just had no idea that, at 77, he would just drop dead in a closet in a hotel. Let me see if there's some other things. It says funeral planning on this list. Yeah, like I said, make a list of all bank accounts and account numbers, investments. Make sure someone knows your Apple ID, your bank ID, your login, your password, your titles to your vehicles. So this is just a PSA to not think that's never going to happen to me, or I'll do that one day. Get your affairs in order now so that your loved ones don't have to be doing all that when they're in the middle of, pain and grief. That there's a checklist you can go to and everything is right there, and you're not too young to do this. I'm 56 and there's some of it I haven't done for my husband and my children, and I know I need to, and I think, oh, I'm young, I can do that. No, after what I've been through, it's like, no, I need to go down this checklist and do what it says I need to do to get my affairs in order. God gave us wisdom. He gave us discernment, and you and I need to use it and not just think it's not faith. Like I've even told my kids like what songs I want played at my funeral, and they all are like, Mom, don't talk about that. But that's what I want. Of course, it's Elvis, but that's what I want, and it needs to be talked about. My husband's talked about to me his wishes in the event if he dies, here's what he wants. And those are real conversations that you need to have with your spouse or your children so that it's done the way they want it done or the way you want it done. And then you're not, scrambling trying to find all the information that you need. I hope that helps you today and just is a little reminder to not procrastinate and put things off. If you would like a copy of this list, you can email me at jerriannministries@gmail.com and I will send it to you. All right. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.